Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in once again inside the athletic fields here at Milford High School, as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. This is Tim Coet on the call, entering into another week of this 2022-23 fall sports season. And this afternoon, back at it with coverage of this Milford varsity boys soccer team. And this afternoon, the Scarlet Hawks welcome in a rival now from the Davenport division in the Mansfield Hornets. Just about set to get this game underway this afternoon. Milford enters into this matchup this afternoon still in third place position in the Kelly Rex division standings. They are 4-3-1 overall on the season, so back up over the 500 mark. Mansfield, meanwhile, comes in their inaugural season in the Davenport division in fourth place in those division standings. They are 2-4-1 overall on the season. So a bit of a sluggish start for the Hornets in their new division, in a season that many thought that Mansfield would be instant title contenders moving over to the small school division, but it's been a bit of a struggle, in particular on offense for the Hornets, as they've scored just 9 goals through their first 7 games of the season. Mansfield coming into this match this afternoon on a 3-match losing streak. Meanwhile, Milford, they were able to break out of a skid with a couple of wins last week. They had gone into last week's action having gone 4 straight matches without a victory. That included losses to Medway, Attleboro, and North Attleboro, a game that we covered here on Milford TV, with a tie against the Sharon Eagles mixed in between. But they got back on track last week with victories against the Canton Bulldogs and the King Philip Warriors, as we have an early pause here in the action, as it looks like there were some benches a little bit too close to the playing surface. The players and referees and now athletic director Peter Boucher making sure everything is set and ready to go so that play can continue just into the opening minutes of this varsity action. And we'll have a toss in here for the Hornets over on the far side of the field. Excellent weather conditions for this game this afternoon. It's been a bit of a mixed bag of weather over the last couple of weeks for Scarlet Hawks athletics, with some cool temperatures mixed in, some rainy conditions as well, but sunshine splashing across the field here today with temperatures in the mid-60s, so comfortable as we are now into the final week of the month of September, this fall sports season motoring right along. The first of 2 high school sports contests that we'll have live for you on Milford TV this week. We'll be back here at the football field on Friday as well, returning to football coverage as John Borges now tries to carry this ball in. Milford looking to attack from right to left across your screens here in the first half. Milford regrouping now at midfield, pushing it back to the defense. The Scarlet Hawks once again testing their depth in net, with Lucas Fernandez still out with injury. It is Nate Dennis who continues to operate in net for the Hawks. And on the Mansfield side, it is senior Liam Doyle in net. This is the one and only regular season meeting for these two teams, as they are now Hockomock League crossover opponents, still getting used to the idea of Mansfield in the Davenport division. This ball headed out of play by Andre Mora. So the last time we covered this Scarlet Hawks boys team, it was a bit of a struggle against North Attleboro, a game that Milford led early, had a couple of chances to tack on to the lead, but ultimately Mansfield was able to score North Attleboro was able to score a couple of second-half goals, including one with less than 5 minutes to go that proved to be the game winner. And a disappointing loss, but answering that with back-to-back victories and hoping to make it 3 straight here this afternoon. Moments ago, a nice save from Nate Dennis. And Mansfield now trying to push back across the far side of the field, but Milford intercepts. Now this ball will slide back to the midfield where it's picked up by Mora. He'll push the tempo forward, looking for Danny De Silva. And De Silva's going to have to push back to Mora, who gets bumped off the ball, and a whistle goes in Milford's favor. Head coach Antonio Pinto and assistant coach Mike DeSilva looking on just on the Milford side of midfield. On the Mansfield side, it is Steve Sheridan, the head coach for this Mansfield varsity program. And this ball taking a hop into the hands of Liam Doyle, the Mansfield keeper. This is a matchup that has gone in Milford's favor more often than not in recent meetings. We'll dig through some of those stats as the broadcast goes along. We also have the opportunity to collect updated scoring stats for both of these teams. We'll get you that information as well as the broadcast goes along. But meanwhile, a toss in here for Mansfield deep on their attacking side. It's immediately picked off by the captain, Nick Ribeiro. Nick with a couple of goals in Milford's victories last week. John Borges watching that ball as it crosses out of play on the far side. But it will stay Mansfield ball, so this will give the Hornets the toss in. Light breeze blowing from left to right here on the playing surface, but not much of a factor for the play out there on the field. This ball taking a tricky hop in, and Milford keeping a body there, denying a good look, and looked like Danny DeSilva, the freshman in there, who absorbed some heavy contact to cut down that angle towards net. A gritty defensive play for the underclassmen. That was a nice attempt at centering that pass up on the Mansfield side. That play developing from long distance, and DeSilva able to get back and support just in time. This ball coming ahead and deflected off of the Mansfield defense. Borges trying to track it down on the far sideline. It goes out, but Milford gets the toss back in. Down into the corner now with Borges giving chase. He tries to push it towards goal, but that will hop out of play. Still in the opening 10 minutes of this first half action. 33 minutes and 24 seconds remain in the first half. Girls varsity team was able to get back into the win column on the road this past weekend, taking on the Hopedale Blue Raiders in a non-conference matchup. It's a nice day for the Milford girls, scoring 3 goals in that victory. Able to bounce back off of a couple of lopsided defeats, including that tough 6-1 loss that the girls suffered against the Canton Bulldogs last week in a game we covered live here on Milford TV. The Milford football team picking up a big victory against Natick on the road last week, so they come into their Week 4 matchup on Friday here at home against Attleboro with an unbeaten record intact, and now starting to head into the teeth of their schedule now as they start to take on their division opponents. This boys team coming off of back-to-back victories as well, so all of the fall programs having some good fortune in the last week. Milford tossing that ball in the direction of Lucas Ribeiro Nelon. Kicked down to the far corner and out of play. Another goal kick here for the Hornets coming up. Nice job of the defense there, absorbing that shot directing it back. That was Nailon again, using the header on a ball that came in with velocity. Now this ball rolling free, picked up by Arthur Tomei, directing it towards his fellow captain Nick Ribeiro, and then along the near sideline, where it's taken over by De Silva, and then eventually back to Ribeiro. Milford trying to get somebody loose. Good ball control here. Ribeiro now trying to find an opening. He knifes that pass into the direction of Milford's goal-scoring leader so far on this season, Eduardo Santana. Now Danny De Silva again directing that ball towards the middle of the field. Takes a hop back to Ribeiro, who now will guide it back towards midfield. Mansfield going for the steal, and this ball back under Milford's possession as we are now a little past the first 10 minutes of this first half. Ribeiro, a sharp pass, but knocked away by the Hornets. Tomei and Mora go back and forth. Now this ball dumped in, and it is held on to by Liam Doyle. Check in from long range there for the Scarlet Hawks. The Mansfield keeper up to the task, and we stay scoreless here. This ball driven deep and into a tricky spot here on a couple of bounces, and eventually into the hands of Nate Dennis. Ball just kept on traveling and almost resulted in a quick strike opportunity for the Hornets. Mansfield trying to keep this ball on the attack now, but it is wrestled back as far as center, and now guided in the direction of number 18, Dante Spivak. And now along the near sideline for Aiden Jones. Eventually out of play. The captains for this Mansfield squad for this season: senior Aiden Steele, senior Grady Sullivan, and senior Daniel Checkaway. Jockeying for position there in a dangerous spot on the field for Milford, but eventually this ball is pushed back out towards the center circle and now dumped back in as Mansfield tries to gain some momentum here in this first half. Now Dennis will calm things down. Nate has continued to impress, taking on the role of starting keeper for this team. He has stayed very calm, very poised. Continues to show great leadership from that position as well, so it has given Milford a real boost. I believe the hope is that Lucas Fernandez will return before the end of this season. We haven't gotten an update on Lucas's condition from the coaching staff since very early on in the year. Already now quickly coming up on a month into this fall sports season. Once again, just going by very quickly. Heavy contact over the middle, no whistle. And this ball drifting back to the midfield. Into the clutches of Kawa Pereira. Trying to find Mora, but Mansfield there to break it up. Now Mora jumps back into the play, and Mansfield continuing to press forward, and now it is Kevin Barbosa who will toss back in towards Ribeiro. Milford trying to break this ball out as Mansfield now has started to take over the flow of this game over the last several minutes. This whistle going against Milford here. As we drop down towards 26 minutes to play in the first half. A free kick coming up here for the Hornets. Nick Ribeiro making sure all of the Milford personnel is situated properly as this ball comes drifting in. It one hops past the goal and out of play. No real danger there in the end for the Scarlet Hawks. A goal kick now for Dennis. Now it's Mora again trying to use his speed. Got a little shove from behind. And now loses control of the ball. Pushed back onto the Mansfield attacking side and now looped down right at the center line. Milford now will send this ball softly in the direction of Eduardo Santana, but it takes a hard hop off his chest and then eventually ricochets out of play. Was last touched by the Hornets. Sun ducking behind some cloud cover for the time being as Ribeiro pushes this ball out towards the middle of the field. Mora will send it forward for the Hawks. John Borges getting a brief touch, now back to Ribeiro. And he'll try to hit Borges in stride. And Borges running out of room there in that far corner. Tries to send that ball. Looked like his intention was to try to knock that ball out of play off of a Mansfield player, but did not work out that way in the end. Milford in a third place tie with the North Attleboro Rocketeers, both teams with 7 league points on the season. That is just 2 off of the lead, which is shared right now by both Attleboro and Franklin. We do expect to have the first round of power rankings across the MIAA released later this week. I believe that those rankings are set to come out tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have some of that information to relay during our football coverage on Friday. Both Attleboro and Franklin with identical 4-1-1 records in league play. Franklin has one more non-league victory. So pretty tightly packed standings in the first 4 spots in the Kelly Rex. This ball sky high as it comes down on the Milford attacking side. Controlled now by Arthur Tomei, now to Ribeiro. Short little pass, and Tomei splits the uprights, but that won't get you any points on the soccer field as that ball goes out of play. And with 22 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the first half, we carry on scoreless. Driven in deep by the Hornets. Milford's defense vulnerable, leading to a shot on goal off the foot of Dante Spivak, but the save is made by Nate Dennis. And right now, Coach De Silva on the sidelines, frustrated with the sluggish reactions of his team out on the field. Normally it is Coach Pinto that tends to show more emotion on the sideline, but Coach De Silva getting agitated, wanting to see his team pick up the pace. This ball scooting up the near sideline stays in play until it is poked out by the Hornets, and then a quick toss in for Ribeiro. Nice backwards pass from Santana to Ribeiro. Ribeiro stays with it, trying to buy some time Sending this ball out free back towards Andre Mora. Mora now with a little bit of space, and he'll send this one in on net. A little sinking line drive kick that is saved by Liam Doyle. Approaching the midway point of this first half. Still yet to see a goal. Milford had unlocked their offense in their previous 2 matches, scoring 3 goals in each of their last 2. A 3-2 victory over the Canton Bulldogs on the 21st, and then a 3-1 victory against the King Philip Warriors in their most recent game. That was on Friday of last week. Free kick coming up here for Ribeiro. This has been his specialty of late. He has scored goals twice off of free kicks in the last 2 weeks. And meanwhile, as Milford sets up for the free kick, it is John Borges who is still down on the ground. Borges now will gingerly make his way towards the sideline. Looks like might be favoring the left hand. So he'll get checked out by the training staff. Meanwhile, Mora and Ribeiro both in the neighborhood for this free kick. Ribeiro sends this just out of the reach of Santana. He'll track it down in the corner. And then eventually out of play, but the whistle is going to go in Mansfield's favor. So Milford cannot get a shot away as a result of that free kick chance. And we play on in a scoreless game. Quick interception by Ribeiro. Push this one in deep. Eduardo Santana in the neighborhood, but could not get there ahead of the keeper, Doyle, who settles this one down, and we'll push it back out towards the middle of the field as we tick down to 18 minutes to play. Tomei trying to gain entry across the midfield line. He does. Now finds Santana. Santana lets that ball bounce out far in front. He's able to gather it back in now. Feeds it over towards Ribeiro. Gets himself a little bit of space. Now on to Barboza, who sends it in towards net. Has a player streaking in, and that one is across the goal line for a Milford score. And so the Scarlet Hawks are going to take a lead here, as it was Kevin Barbosa who stepped up from the defense to help make that play happen. A chance finished off by Lucas Ribeiro Nelon, so with a little over 17 minutes to go, we finally get our first score of the game. Mansfield looking to answer now, pushing the tempo ahead upfield. Milford able to slow things down just a bit as one of the captains, Grady Sullivan, had that ball with some space, but Milford able to settle things right down. So back to the scoring play. That was the first goal of the season for, I beg your pardon, the second goal of the season for Lucas Ribeiro-Nelan. Assisted by Kevin Barbosa. Barbosa's first point of the season. So Milford with the lead here with a little under 16 minutes left in the half. Mansfield now with a centering pass, and that ball just out of the reach. And a player on the doorstep looking to redirect that one in. A little too high. That was Nate Kaplick for Mansfield. And had that ball been just a hair lower, he might have been able to direct that one past Dennis. Corner kick chance here for the Hornets, and right now athletic director Peter Boucher serving as a ball assistant on the far side of the field. Trying to keep the flow of the game going. This ball is going to take a hop through traffic, and Tomei now with a chance to push it back out. Ribeiro picks it up from there. Milford on the move. Ribeiro trying to protect. Really nice job of body positioning there for Ribeiro. Now slides this one towards the middle of the field for Arthur Tomei. Now Mora will send this one softly on past Santana, and now picked up by the Hornets. Big bounce out of play. A toss in here for the Scarlet Hawks as we tick down to 14 minutes to go. John Borges right now still being looked at by the training staff on the sidelines. They're icing down his left hand. Tomei trying to win this ball back as he lost it to the defense. Now Mansfield able to press ahead. Again, good speed here by Sullivan, trying to free himself up for a shot, but Dennis slides out and covers up. Again, good instincts there as this ball goes out of play. Ribeiro spills out of bounds after contact. Pinto with some brief words exchanged with the official there after that contact. No whistle. It seems like Coach Pinto was agreeable to whatever the officials had to say in explanation. Bright sunshine again across the majority of the playing surface as we get into the later stages of this first half action. Picked back up by Mora, and then again ahead for Ribeiro. Ribeiro eyeing Eduardo Santana at the top of the box, but that ball drifts away. And now back upfield where it's going to be collected by the Milford defense. So for Milford, that is their 22nd goal scored this season. Milford is the highest scoring offense in the Hockomock League heading into this week's action. And it's by a considerable margin. Milford with 22 goals on the season. The next highest goal totals belong to Attleboro, Franklin, and Oliver Ames, who all have 15 goals scored. But the scoring has been a little bit feast or famine for the Scarlet Hawks through the year. They had 10 of those 22 goals through the first 2 games of the season. And then during that stretch of 4 straight games without a victory, Milford scored just a total of 5 goals over those 4 games. That included a shutout loss to Attleboro. But now have picked things back up again. They've now scored 7 goals in their last 3 matches, including this one here this afternoon. Milford couldn't save that ball from going out of play, out of the reach there on the near sideline. Contesting down into the corner is Kawa Pereira. Milford and King Philip in their game last Friday combined for 4 goals scored in the first half, 3 for Milford and a single goal for KP. That ended up being all the scoring in the game. No goals for either side in the second half. There's Grady Sullivan again for Mansfield, able to blow past one defender. Pereira there in support. Barbosa now along the near sideline. Keeps it in. Now Barbosa will let it rip back towards the middle of the field. Wind knocking that ball down a bit. Now Ribeiro keeping that ball on the ground. Nice pass ahead towards Tomei. Tomei trying to cut back, gets taken down and whistled. And so we will have a penalty shot here for Arthur Tomei. A chance for Milford to tack on to the lead now with less than 9.5 minutes to go. And in with no trouble for Arthur Tomei. So 9 minutes and 10 seconds now to go in this first half. Milford now able to take a 2-0 lead. So Arthur Tomei getting back on the score sheet. That is his 3rd goal of the season. Mansfield sending this ball back deep and eventually picked up by Dennis. 8.5 minutes remaining as Mansfield gathers fresh personnel on the sideline to check back in at the next opportunity. Contact along the far sideline, getting whistled for a foul, and that call going against the Scarlet Hawks here. So now it will be Mansfield with the free kick chance. Deep on their attacking side, trailing by 2. And a good redirect chance for Grady Sullivan. Got the ball right where he wanted it, parallel to the near post, but sent that ball out of play. Back towards the Mansfield defense, the ball up for grabs once again. Hopping back towards the middle of the field. 7 minutes remaining in the half. Coaching staff on the Milford side much happier with the effort that they have seen over this last several minute span. Another free kick coming up for the Hornets. Derek McGrath sending this one into the box, taking an intriguing bounce, and it's pushed in off the side of the net. It's a good ball sent in by McGrath. Could not be finished off from there. Rivero surveying his options. That ball poked free by the Hornets. Mora winning it back along the far sideline.
We need Johnny. Come on. That's all right, man. Let's go. We need you up there, Mike. Come on. Come on, Milford. Let's go. One more.
Now, hard deflection. Mansfield trying to find some space. Sullivan sending it ahead. Brady Sullivan's been in the thick of the offensive chances for the Hornets so far today. Pushes this one towards the corner. Kawa Pereira forward now towards Tomei. Less than 5 minutes to go now in this half. All the way in, and a calm save made by Nate Dennis.
Good job, Johnny. Come on, Marcelo.
About to dip under the 4-minute mark as this ball is tossed back in. A nice move by Nick Ribeiro to make that steal.
Help them all, guys. Come on, Johnny. Come on.
Now Santana. That ball spinning free, and a player shaken up now for Mansfield. It's Aiden Jones who is down and looks to be in some pain. That stops the clock, or will eventually stop the clock. Continuing to roll for the time being, as it looks like Jones will try to get to his feet. So they've allowed the clock to continue to roll, ticking down now under 3:20 to go. As Jones gingerly makes his way to the sideline.
Milford, come on. Come on, Castro. Come on, let's go, run.
Mansfield across the middle.
Three guys in the middle.
Knocked away by the Milford defense. And this ball will roll across the goal line and out of play to be sent back out by Dennis. More substitutions coming in for the Hornets. Tough move there in the end for Lucas Ribeiro Nailon, in some trouble and able to get out of trouble. And this ball finds its way towards Dennis, who collapses on top of it. As we are now under 2 minutes to go in first half action. Milford with goals from Lucas Ribeiro Nylon and Arthur Tomei off a penalty kick to give the Scarlet Hawks a 2-0 advantage. Hoping for more here in these closing minutes. That ball tipped out of play.
On the line, Kevin.
Tomei nowhere to go, sends that ball out across the far sideline. Sounds of cross-country matches going on off behind us as this game reaches the closing seconds of the first half. Tomei makes the toss in. Danny De Silva now ahead with it. That ball cleared out. Whistle going against the Scarlet Hawks here, so a late opportunity presenting itself for Mansfield. I beg your pardon, a late opportunity presenting itself for the Scarlet Hawks. Mora along with Ribeiro. It's Ribeiro who sends it in on a line, a missile for Nick Ribeiro that gets past Doyle. Ribeiro scores again off of a free kick chance. It has been his specialty through these first weeks of the season, and the Scarlet Hawks will make it a 3-0 lead. So the third straight game that Milford has scored 3. Second game in a row they've put 3 in the first half. A player down here for the Scarlet Hawks behind the play as the ball comes back up towards the middle. Looks to be Eduardo Santana favoring the left foot as this ball comes in deep. It's picked up by the Mansfield keeper as Santana continues to be seated on the field. Nick Ribeiro and Arthur Tomei coming over to check on their scoring leader. And this will require the services once again of the Milford training staff who have had their hands full so far in this game. A couple of injuries here in this match and some other athletes coming over to the trainer's cart from other areas of the athletic complex needing attending as well. So busy stretch here for athletic trainer Ashley Desco. Eduardo Santana now makes his way to the sideline, has the shoe off of his left foot. Seconds away from completion of this first half. Milford taking over. Ribeiro, the most recent goal scorer, pushing towards the near sideline. It's taken over from there by Mansfield. That ball will go spinning out of play. Barbosa tosses in. Miguel de Oliveira in for the Scarlet Hawks. Involved in that play as now the whistle comes in for the end of this first half. So 3 goals in the first half in total for the Scarlet Hawks as they take an early lead here on the Mansfield Hornets. And so we will pause now for the intermission. And if you are joining us on our live stream for this afternoon's game, hang tight for the next 10 minutes, and then we will return with second half coverage in this varsity boys soccer matchup between the Mansfield Hornets and the Milford Scarlet Hawks. Stay with the coverage here on Milford TV. And we welcome you back here onto the MHS Turf Field. Second half action beginning in this varsity boys soccer contest between your Milford Scarlet Hawks and the visiting Mansfield Hornets. Milford currently holds a 3-0 lead in this game. A goal about midway through the first half from Lucas Ribeiro-Nelon, assisted by Kevin Barbosa, opened the scoring. And with about 10 minutes to play, Arthur Tome getting a penalty kick opportunity that he converted. And then with less than 2 minutes in the first half, it was Nick Ribeiro depositing a free kick into the back of the net to make it a 3-0 score. Not a lot in the way of offensive chances for the Mansfield Hornets through that first half. Couple of opportunities off of free kicks and corner kicks, but nothing really developing, and Nate Dennis keeping things solidly under control in net for the Scarlet Hawks. And so we proceed forward here in the second half with Milford now attacking from left to right across your screens. And this ball spinning across in front of the Mansfield net and will travel the length of the field and out of play. We'll take a look at the goal scoring leaders for the Scarlet Hawks in just a moment. In fact, we'll start to go through some of those scorers for you now. It is still Eduardo Santana who leads in goals scored this season for Milford. 6 goals and 6 assists for Santana on the season. With his goal in the first half, it is Nick Ribeiro now second on the team. He has 4 goals to go along with 4 assists. 3 of those 4 goals now on the season for Nick have come off of free kicks. Arthur Tome now with his goal in the first half off that penalty shot has 3 goals to go along with 4 assists. John Borges has 3 goals on 2 assists on the season. Danny De Silva with 2 goals. Kawa Pereira with a goal and an assist. Lucas Ribeiro-Nelon now with 2 goals on the season after his first half strike. And then Thais Felipe dos Santos with a goal. And then assists for Salverio Fulginiti and Kevin Barbosa on the season. So there are your scoring stats, fully updated now to include the scores from the first half. Milford controlling play here. That one forced out by Mansfield. Back to the defense now. One thing that will bear watching for Milford as this game goes along and for the games to come is that, again, it appears that Milford's depth is going to be put to the test as they play right now to start the second half with both John Borges and Eduardo Santana on the sidelines. Santana is dealing with a left foot injury right in the late stages of the first half, and then earlier on in the first half, Borges was forced to the sideline with a hand injury as this ball spins out of the reach of Liam Doyle in net for Mansfield, but he tracks it down. And so it looks like right now there's some pretty significant bandaging on the left hand for Borges. Not sure if they're trying to bandage that up with the intent to get Borges back out onto the field. Right now he's got a warm-up on over the jersey. Doing some jogging now down the sideline, so we'll see if Borges gets back into the action. If so, again, he's got a heavy wrap on that left hand up through the wrist area. Meanwhile, Mansfield will boot this ball up ahead with 35 minutes and 15 seconds on the second half game clock. And meanwhile, good to see that at that last whistle, Eduardo Santana did make a return out onto the field, starting the half on the sideline, but quickly reinserted into action. And it looks like perhaps we might see a return for John Borges soon as well, as this ball is tossed back in. Santana getting back into the action as this ball takes a roll off out of play right in front of the Milford bench, where John Borges continues to try to get loosened back up. Check in on the keeper for Mansfield. He makes that grab and then sends this ball on a roll out towards the far sideline. Mansfield up ahead with pace. Up ahead towards Cooper Austin, an underclassman for the Hornets. Last season, Mansfield finished on the plus side of 500, finished at 8-5-4 in their final year of Kelly Rex Division competition. Dumped along down into the corner, and that one drifts out of play. This ball stopped through traffic by Liam Doyle. Taking a look at some of the info for this Hornets team on the season. Liam Doyle missed all of last season with an injury, but back healthy again for his senior season and inserted in as the team's starting keeper. Coach Sheridan, without as much experience at the varsity level as previous years, but some of his comments heading into the season expressed confidence in the group that he had on the field. And again, certainly the change in division was expected to work in Mansfield's favor, but that has not been the case, at least so far, as it has been a struggle for the Hornets. They've managed points in just 3 of their first 7 matches. They did earn a tough 2-2 tie against one of the top teams in the Hockomock League, the Attleboro Bombardiers, on their second game of the season. And they followed that up with matching 2-0 victories over Foxborough and North Attleboro, but since then it has been 3 consecutive losses. A 2-0 shutout against Oliver Ames, a 3-2 loss against the Taunton Tigers, and then last Friday it was a 2-1 loss to the Sharon Eagles. So struggles over the last few weeks, and a hole to try to climb out of in this second half for Mansfield. Milford hoping to maintain this lead. It still stands at 3-0 with just over 31 minutes remaining. Santana battling right in front of his bench, loses control. Mansfield able to clear as far as the midfield, and Milford instantly pushes back in. Pushing and shoving along the near sideline, and a little extra shove after the fact. Sean Higgins, the junior for Mansfield, mixing it up with Nick Ribeiro. Mansfield fans here making the trip up to Milford, trying to cheer on their team to a second half comeback. Sparse group of Milford fans hoping for the exact opposite, hoping to see Milford keep their foot on the accelerator here through the second half. Kawa Pereira shaken up a bit after that last play, but able to get back to his feet as we're now 10 minutes into the second half. Pereira pushing back in deep, all the way to the Hornets defense. Now a battle along the far sideline before the ball eventually makes its way out of play. 3 players waiting to check in on the Mansfield side as Coach Sheridan looks to find the right combination to try to claw back into this game, and more players now as we see a total of 5 on the sidelines waiting to check into this game. Including 2 of the 3 senior captains, Grady Sullivan and Daniel Checkaway. So perhaps a statement here through the early part of the second half for Mansfield, playing with the captains on the bench to try to bring a change of pace. Almost an opportunity there in front of the goal mouth for Milford that was broken up. And now at the whistle, we will see a 5-player swap on the Mansfield side of the field. This ball poked right back out of play. Tossin coming up here for the Hornets as the clock comes down to 28 minutes to go. Guided right back out on that far sideline. We had a number of Scarlet Hawks athletes involved in a longer piece that we've been working on for our next edition of the Milford Informer. It will feature the Milford Girl Scouts. As this toss comes in, Milford able to deflect it back. And now Rivero able to clear it out across the middle of the field. A foot race here. And Mansfield making the smart decision to guide that ball out of play. And so the piece will specifically focus on a group of 7 senior Girl Scouts in Milford putting the finishing touches on their Gold Award projects. It's a real prestigious project. Not a lot of scouts elect to take it on, but a group of 7 Milford seniors all completing their Gold Award projects. So we'll have all the details on those projects. And again, a number of the Girl Scouts that we had a chance to talk to are names that are very recognizable to our sports viewing audience, including Emily Croto, Carly Haley, Sophia Soares for the girls field hockey team, along with several other of Milford's Girl Scouts. So that will be our lead story on the Milford Informer coming up on Friday this week. So we encourage everyone to check it out. Again, that will debut on Friday evening at 7:30 over on our public channel and also on Verizon HD 2140. Just over 26 minutes remain as Milford tosses this ball back in once again to their captain, Nick Rivero. Shot out of play over in the direction of the Mansfield coaching staff. Busy day around the athletic fields here in Milford with the cross-country match going on. Looks like Milford taking on the Taunton Tigers in cross-country. This ball sent in on the header by Mansfield, not cleared out, sent back in on goal. But a stop made once again by Dennis. Stoic there in net for the Scarlet Hawks. Ball driven back to midfield by Liam Doyle. Doyle allowing 3 goals, although one of them came off of a penalty shot, the other off of a free kick. Really an impressive shot on the free kick for Nick Ribeiro. Great accuracy. Out of play once again along the far sideline. So for the Davenport division, which of course is where Mansfield resides, it continues to be Oliver Ames who leads the pack in the Davenport, on their way perhaps towards yet another division title. The Tigers unbeaten on the season. They are 4-0-2 overall on the year. But only 2 points back are the Sharon Eagles, having a great season so far. They are 3-2-2. And then the Canton Bulldogs, as this shot comes in out of nowhere and beats Dennis, and so this will get the Hornets on the score sheet. So we'll get back to those division standings in a moment, as this gives the Mansfield fans in attendance something to cheer for. That play developing in a hurry, and it appeared that it was Daniel Checkaway who was able to put that in the back of the net. Just a little deflection that left Checkaway wide open. So the Milford coaching staff trying to debrief after that play, trying to make sure that Milford keeps the energy and anticipation up. Perhaps getting lulled into a bit of a sense of security with the big 3-goal lead, and Mansfield not putting up much of an offensive effort so far, but again getting just a little bit of a deflection, a ball rolling free in the box, and Checkaway sends it past Dennis to cut it down to a 2-goal margin. Milford now with a corner kick chance to be taken by Ribeiro on the near side. Coming down to 22 minutes to play, and the keeper losing his feet, but that ball deflected out of play. Now one of the other captains for Mansfield, Grady Sullivan, trying to control down the far sideline. Dennis deflecting that ball away, couldn't get a hold of it, now gets back into position. Now one back again by the Hornets, and a near opportunity for Connor Polinsky is deflected out. And now Dennis is down on his back in front of the goal. Milford couldn't get the clear. It was dumped back in. Another ball that was left rolling free. There had been some contact for Dennis earlier in that play as he collided with a Mansfield player, then came back towards net, continued to see the play through, but then as the ball went out of play, ended up down on his back, and he continues to lie there. as the clock right now is stopped at an even 21 minutes to play, so we will have an injury timeout perhaps here. As right now Mansfield has gone to the sideline, so perhaps just a conventional timeout on the field right now. And so we will take the timeout as well. Again, 21 minutes remaining in this second half. It is now a 3-1 score. Milford on top of Mansfield here on Milford TV.
To get out, Nathan. Jeez.
Quickly getting back to action right now. Nate Dennis on the sideline, so a backup keeper in as Mansfield gets a corner kick chance here, looping in from the far side. The Hornets will keep it pinned in deep. Now Milford trying to get the clear. This ball rolling past midfield and will sneak out along the near sideline. Dennis is poised at the scorer's table down at field level, so it looks like his return is imminent. This ball hopping up over the reach of Kevin Barbosa. Pereira there to pick it up. And now guided forward where it's picked off by Matthew Sullivan for the Hornets. Just 20 minutes remain in the second half action. John Borges back out there with that wrapped up left hand. Briefly in on that action. Mansfield gets the clear and starting to feel perhaps a bit of momentum shift here over these last several minutes. The leaky goal allowed by the Scarlet Hawks, and Mansfield feeling a little bit more confident out there on the field. The Hawks still with a 2-goal advantage, but plenty of time still. And now with the whistle, we will see Nate Dennis return. And so meanwhile, it had been Arthur Tomei that was subbing in net for the Scarlet Hawks. He now looks like he's going to get some ice on the sidelines, as we have seen that frequently throughout the season so far. Tomei needing treatment from the training staff. Favoring the right foot right now. That has been something that we've seen worked on in games past. Right now he has some additional tape on the outside of that right shoe. It appears to be icing either his knee or thigh area as he sits down on the sidelines for the time being, as Ribeiro will send the kick in. Nice redirect, and that is past Liam Doyle for the score. What execution there for the Scarlet Hawks, as they will retake a 3-goal lead here. It's now 4-1 in favor of the Scarlet Hawks. And through the crowd, it was Kawa Pereira, the sophomore, who was able to direct that ball in with the header. Just great placement for Nick Ribeiro.
Good job, Johnny. That's yours, John. That's yours. Come on, Milford.
And so a nice answer there from Milford, as I just mentioned, it was starting to feel like perhaps things were tipping in Mansfield's direction. So the lead now 4-1.
Careful, John.
As Mansfield carries this ball in deep, broken up along the near sideline by Mora, rattles it out of play. Tossin coming up here for the Hornets. Second goal of the season for Kawa Pereira. Another assist for Nick Ribeiro. That is his 5th assist of the year.
Look at this. What is he calling?
Ticking down to the final 16 minutes of this second half.
Come on, Milford. Get it together.
And that ball getting through. A breakdown there for
You guys all sleeping.
the Scarlet Hawks, and coach now calling for the timeout as no one seemed ready.
That should be the whistle, ref. Come on.
And the fans irate as well, so we're in a timeout right now, 16 minutes to go. Trying to use our live stream here to get a second look at how that developed. Coach De Silva now talking things over with the officials. So the goal will be credited to Tyler Znoj, a sophomore for Mansfield. I apologize if I'm butchering that pronunciation. Tyler, the last name Z-N-O-J, responsible for sending that ball in. And it looks like they're going to keep the goal on the board.
Game's not over.
And so right now the coaching staff rallying the troops on here for the Scarlet Hawks. They retake the field. "16 minutes to go, back down to a 2-goal differential."
Yellow card, ref.
And right now, Coach Pinto continuing to chat with one of the officials as we're about to resume action here. So 4-2 the score after a strange situation there off the free kick chance, where Milford did not hear the whistle, feeling like there had not been a sufficient restart there, and Mansfield taking advantage. Cutting it down to a 2-goal margin with still time to go.
Come on, Nick. Go, John.
This ball up for grabs now. Eduardo Santana has had a quiet day so far, and a day where he has dealt with some injury issues himself. Touching the ball there for a moment, now gets it back off the feed from Nick Ribeiro, but quickly gets closed in on. A trio of defenders, one goes down, no whistle as Santana sends this ball in. It gets past Doyle, but a nice backup there by the Mansfield defense. Brendan Flynn, a senior defenseman for the Hornets, saving a goal right there. Ball sent back up the far sideline where it drifts out of play. About 14 minutes left to go. It's been an eventful afternoon. All Milford through the first half, 3 goals. 3 more goals in total scored here in the second half, but 2 of them for Mansfield to make things interesting. And now again, Mansfield trying to catch Milford by surprise with that quick restart. Ball ends up out of play. Ribeiro trying to force the action there, ends up getting the whistle against Milford. And Mansfield brings this ball ahead, taken over by one of the captains, Aiden Steele. And on to fellow captain Grady Sullivan. And a sliding stop made in the end by Nate Dennis. Milford will be home again on Friday of this week to host the Taunton Tigers. That game will take place in the afternoon. We will have coverage of football later on in the evening on Friday. As that ball deflects almost within reach for Santana, now out of play. And so after that home matchup on Friday, it'll be 2 straight road games coming up to start the month of October for the Scarlet Hawks. At Stoughton on October 3rd and then at Franklin on October 7th before returning to Milford on October 12th with a premier matchup against the Oliver Ames Tigers. So that is the next time we will have coverage of this boys team, will be for that Oliver Ames matchup. Should be a fun one. 2 teams that have been at the top of their respective division standings for the last several seasons. They have been the titans of the Hockomock League when it comes to boys soccer. That game coming up on Wednesday, October 12th, as this ball deflects off out of play. Still a lot of Mansfield fans here in attendance. They have made their voices heard out in the crowd. So it remains a 4-2 score. Just over 10 minutes to go as Dennis clears this ball out. Borges to De Silva, and now just out of the reach of Nick Ribeiro, headed forward by Andre Mora. Now Eduardo Santana giving chase along the far sideline. He picks it up from there. Crosses back to the middle. And leaves it for De Silva. Now deflected. Borges there right at the end line. That ball goes out. And it will be a corner kick chance here for the Scarlet Hawks. As we have now crossed under 10 minutes to play. Nick Ribeiro from the near corner. Right at the feet of Borges, gets himself clear, and a one-handed save is made by Liam Doyle as that ball deflects off his hand and up over the crossbar, out of play. And we'll have yet another corner kick here again for Ribeiro. That one landed right at the feet of Borges. Now this time, not as good a bounce for the Scarlet Hawks, as this one will end up out of play across the near sideline. Borges did everything he could, got himself in position for a great shot, but a desperation save made by Doyle. Less than 8.5 minutes to go now. The lead is still 2 for Milford. It's been a much better effort for the Hornets here in the second half, making things interesting. Now Borges absorbs the contact. Mansfield now able to clear this ball back out toward midfield. Mora, a nice ball ahead towards Eduardo Santana, and now some animosity after the play as Andre Mora had to be separated as he was getting into it with Connor Polinsky of Mansfield. I've not seen a card issued as of yet. Does not look like we'll have any cards awarded, but things have gotten chippier and chippier as this game has gone along. Free kick here for the Scarlet Hawks as the clock winds down towards 7 minutes to play. Just out of the reach of a leaping Eduardo Santana. Milford loses control here, but a chance for Mora to push it back towards the corner. Up ahead and out of play as that ball went slicing past Coach Pinto. Tomei back out onto the field, briefly touching the ball there as bodies go flying to the turf. A couple of defenders ended up landing on top of Eduardo Santana. More words exchanged in between plays for these two teams as Milford sets up for the free kick right at the edge of the box. Tomei and Ribeiro both there.
Come on, Nick. Stop that, Yachts. It's 8 yards. Well, look at the lines, Red.
Ribeiro gets a hard deflection off the defense, and now Tomei ripped down by the jersey, and no whistle on the play. As this ball goes flying out of play. About to dip under the 5-minute mark, so that ball deflected out. Getting a second look at it on the live stream, it looked like perhaps Tomei sold that a bit. It was not a jersey grab. The defender certainly reached out the arm. Might have been some brief arm-to-arm contact.
Yeah, look at that shirt.
Clock frozen now as we are under 5 minutes to go.
Watch out, Nick.
And Ribeiro now will push this ball ahead to his own keeper. And Dennis will clear it out. One back by Pereira across the middle. Another Scarlet Hawks free kick, and again it is Nick Ribeiro. Lofts it in just out of the reach of Borges into the hands of Liam Doyle. Final stretch of this second half. Mansfield calling a timeout here. And so a chance for these teams to talk things over before the final stretch of this second half, down to the final minutes. Milford hanging on to a 2-goal advantage. It is 4-2. Milford on top of Mansfield. We'll see the conclusion of this match right after this break. Stay with us here on Milford TV. Out of the timeout, toss in for the Hornets. Still a 4-2 lead for Milford. As this ball winds up right back out of play. Milford can't get the full clear. Now this ball will roam back towards the middle of the field out of Ribeiro's reach. And Mansfield turns and drives it ahead. Milford protecting as that ball wound its way towards Dennis.
Good job, Milford. Let's go.
Booming kick this time for Nate Dennis. Played ahead now by Santana, trying to send it on for Ribeiro, but that is out of his reach and narrowly avoiding a group of cross-country runners that had just rounded the bend. This will be a corner kick for the Hawks. Santana pushing it ahead inches for Santana, who sat on it, pushed back out of play. Milford trying to bleed out some of this remaining clock. A toss in now sent the short route towards Tomei. Tomei forces it out. It'll be a goal kick this time for Liam Doyle.
Watch out with the long ball, guys.
Through a crowd, this one pushed forward. Pereira able to guide it back. Now carried ahead by Aiden Lopez for Mansfield. A shot released, and that is going to sneak just inside the post for a late strike for the Hornets. That's going to cut it down to a 1-goal differential now with just seconds left to go. So sent in from long range, that looked like it might have been Sam Oliveira, a junior for Mansfield. So that makes things very interesting here for this final stretch. Again, just seconds left to go. But all the way down to a 1-goal lead. Milford at a couple of points in this match, led by 3. Now a deflection, and Milford taking no chances. Dennis was ready to cover that ball up, but the defense pushing it out of play, and Dennis irate now as he talks to his defense. It looked like that was Barboza that pushed it out, and so this will give Mansfield, let's see, we'll get the corner kick in from the near side. Mansfield with all kinds of pressure now being put on this Milford team. The Scarlet Hawks here able to clear this ball out as far as center, but Mansfield now back on the attack. And the Hawks just hoping to survive here to the whistle. So there it is. And Coach Pinto urging his team to come off the field. It is, as it has been at times, a heated matchup between these two squads. And so, and what earlier on seemed like a comfortable game for the Scarlet Hawks, in the end it became a mad scramble. Mansfield putting on all kinds of pressure in the closing minutes of this game, but the Hawks hang on for the victory. So Milford wins it by a final score of 4-3. And so with the victory, Milford will improve to 5-3-1 overall on the season. And it is now a 3-game winning streak for the Scarlet Hawks. With the defeat, Mansfield falls to 2-5-1, and their losing streak now reaches 4 consecutive matches. As we mentioned, Milford will be back in action here at home on Friday to take on the Taunton Tigers. Our next coverage here on Milford TV will come your way on Friday evening, as we will have Week 4 football action for you, with the Scarlet Hawks football team returning home off of a victory last week against Natick. And so your 3-0 Scarlet Hawks will take on the Attleboro Bombardiers in a Kelly Rex Division showdown here on Friday night. Kickoff at 7 o'clock, and we will have the coverage once again live streaming for you here on our YouTube page. So we hope you will join us for that live coverage on Friday. But that's going to wrap things up here for this afternoon. A big thank you to Patrick Garapi helping out on the cameras for today's game. And I am Tim Coet. That final score, one final time, Milford defeats the Mansfield Hornets by a final score of 4-3. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.